Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a deeply personal question, one that might finally explain exactly why you've been feeling so completely exhausted lately. We're going to pull back the curtain on a hidden biological state that millions of people are unknowingly trapped in every single day. Think about your typical morning for a second. Do you wake up feeling anxious before your feet even hit the floor? Are you constantly overthinking, or maybe staying super busy just to avoid slowing down? Do you have this nagging feeling like you're always just waiting for something to go wrong? If you're nodding along right now, you've probably been told that you're just a worrier, or maybe that you're just too sensitive. But actually, science is telling us a completely different story. Let's look at some of the hidden signs. You might find yourself overreacting to tiny situations, or maybe you're struggling to relax and switch off. You might feel deeply exhausted, but find yourself completely unable to actually rest. Maybe you people please constantly just to avoid conflict, expect the worst at all times, or have major difficulty concentrating and making decisions. Well, if these hit a little too close to home, you aren't just being sensitive. Your nervous system might literally be stuck on high alert. To help us unpack exactly what's going on, here is our agenda. First, the hidden survival mode. Second, the 4 trauma responses. Third, burnout versus functional freeze. Fourth, why standard rest fails. And finally, rewiring your nervous system. All right, let's jump straight into section 1, the hidden survival mode. Why this is about biology, not your personality. You know, the wildest part about this state is that survival mode rarely looks like some dramatic movie scene. A lot of the time, it just looks like pushing through a Tuesday, even though your bones ache with exhaustion. It looks like staying highly capable and independent on the outside, while your internal battery is completely drained. Living in this constant state of protection is so incredibly common that we often just accept it as our actual personality. But I'm here to tell you, that's not who you are. That's just protection. Moving on to section 2, the 4 trauma responses, and how our bodies attempt to protect us. Think of your brain like a computer. When it encounters a critical error, what does it do? It restarts in safe mode. Well, survival mode is exactly that. It's your autonomic nervous system shutting down your higher functioning logical brain areas in favor of base survival. The crucial thing to understand here is that your nervous system is designed to protect you. It's literally doing its job to save you from chronic stress, trauma, emotional neglect, or prolonged anxiety. The only problem, it kind of forgot how to turn safe mode off. So when your nervous system senses danger, whether that's a very real, immediate threat, or honestly just a reminder of a painful past, it automatically shifts into one of 4 evolutionary survival responses. We've got fight, where you face threats head on; flight, where you run away; freeze, where you're basically unable to move or act; and fawn, where you immediately try to appease the threat to avoid harm. Now, these are absolutely brilliant short-term survival strategies, but they were never meant to be a 24/7 lifestyle. Let's look closer at one of these, because there is a massive distinction between the biological fawn response and what we casually call people-pleasing. Fawning is an involuntary reflex written directly into your biology. It activates before you even have time to make a conscious choice. People-pleasing, on the other hand, is just a learned social habit. So if your nervous system learned a long time ago that the absolute safest way to exist was to manage everyone else's emotions to prevent an outburst, you aren't choosing to be a pushover. Your body is involuntarily trying to keep you alive. Which brings us to section 3, burnout versus functional freeze, or what I like to call the big misunderstanding. This table outlines a real paradigm shift. See, in burnout, your resources are just depleted. You are totally out of gas and your performance visibly falls apart. But in a functional freeze, your nervous system has entered a state of partial shutdown. In this state, paradoxically, your basic executive capacity stays completely intact. You can still answer emails, pick up the kids, and execute tasks flawlessly. Your performance holds steady, which is exactly why nobody notices you're struggling. But internally, you feel completely disconnected, blank, and numb. You're surviving, sure, but you definitely aren't really living. Section 4, why standard rest fails. We'll call this the classic vacation trap. Have you ever taken a long weekend, slept for 10 hours a night, and then woken up on Monday feeling just as empty and disconnected as before? Yeah, that's because rest doesn't restore feeling. If you go lay on a beach while your nervous system is fundamentally still detecting a threat, your physical muscles might rest, but that internal alarm state doesn't shift at all. The sirens are literally still ringing in the background. So how do we fix it? Section 5. Rewiring your nervous system. It's time to hit the biological brake pedal. Enter the star of the show, your vagus nerve. As you can see here, it wanders all the way from your brainstem, down through the sides of your neck, and directly into your chest and abdomen, touching your heart, lungs, and gut. Fun fact, the word vagus literally means wanderer in Latin. And this incredible wandering nerve acts as your body's biological brake pedal. When you activate it, it signals to your entire system to lower its defenses and halt that stress response. So how do we use it? Well, you can stimulate this nerve right now. The simplest tool is just extending your exhale, because the vagus nerve is primarily activated during the outward breath, taking a slow inhale for a count of 4, and then a really long, slow exhale for a count of 6 or 8 works absolute wonders. If you can slow your breathing down to around 5 or 6 breaths per minute, your body actively releases a calming chemical called acetylcholine, which physically slows your heart rate. You are literally speaking the hidden language of your nervous system. Now, if you want an even faster reset, try a little temperature manipulation. And no, you don't need to go sit in a 10-minute ice bath. Just finish your regular morning shower with 30 to 60 seconds of cold water. By focusing that icy spray on your face, the back of your neck, and your chest, which is exactly where the vagus nerve runs closest to the skin, you force your autonomic nervous system to instantly adjust. It's a fast-acting, biological jolt that snaps you right out of that functional freeze fog. You can also directly influence your nervous system through touch and sound. Because tiny branches of the vagus nerve sit right at the surface of your ear, simply massaging that little hollow just outside your ear canal in slow circles sends an immediate safety signal to your brain. Rhythmic tapping beneath your collarbones loosens up chest tightness. Even just humming a low, steady creates an internal vibration that stimulates the nerve. These are tiny, invisible hacks you can use in traffic, at your desk, or before a stressful meeting to reset your physical state anywhere. But look, real healing doesn't happen by just forcing yourself to quote-unquote be stronger. It happens through small, consistent habits that teach your mind and body that the danger has finally passed. We're talking about combining those breathing and somatic tools with daily actions, moving your body every day, prioritizing quality sleep, spending time with people who actually make you feel safe, setting healthy boundaries without guilt, and practicing noticing your emotions instead of judging them. Remember, the goal isn't to completely eliminate stress. That's impossible. The goal is to help your nervous system feel safe enough that you can respond to life with clarity instead of constantly reacting out of fear. Because it's when your nervous system heals, your relationships improve, your confidence grows, and you finally have the space to become the person you've always been beneath that survival mode. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a provocative question to reflect on. Which sign of survival mode do you actually relate to the most? Is it the exhaustion, the overthinking, the inability to rest? Identifying it is the very first step to unwinding it. Thank you so much for joining me today. Take a deep breath, extend that exhale, and I'll see you in the next one.